Welcome to another episode of Genuine Enthusiasm. I'm excited for my next guest. I met this awesome person on TikTok. So, because I'm a little nervous, I do have notes. Today on the podcast, we have Kristen Bobbitt, adventurer, avid reader, and author who writes about women in the wilderness. Kristen lives in Quebec with her husband, 4 kids, 3 dogs, a snake, a rabbit, and a dozen of chickens, and somehow finds time to kayak, cycle, ski, hike, and even practice jiu-jitsu, all while writing incredible stories. In this episode, we're talking about what it takes to embrace adventure at any age, how reading and writing can transfer your life, and Kristen even has a giveaway you won't want to miss. Stick around to find out how you can win a signed copy of her book and discover the magic of women in the wilderness. How are you?
Really great. Thanks.
Thank you for doing this. Now, I'm under the understanding, and this is going to put you on the spot. This is your first interview.
Very first one. So I'm
I
super
am
nervous.
on. I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm honored. This is really cool for me. So I appreciate you doing this. And I know this is going to be the first of many, many interviews. So I'm glad I got the exclusive. I got the first interview. So let's get right into it. Kristen, your life sounds like an adventure on steroids. What's a normal day like in your household?
Boy. Okay. Well, when I get up every morning at 5 a.m., and that is my writing time, and I do lives on TikTok every day, Monday to Friday, 5:30 to 7 a.m. And that's when I write and chat with other writers. And after that, I get my kids up, get them to school. Then I go to work for the day. After work, my kids come home and I make supper. And after that, I go to my jujitsu classes. And then I come home and veg with a book in bed.
Well, I mean, I just got tired just hearing that. I mean, you just touched on one of your sports. So outdoor sports like skiing, kayaking, hiking. We'll start with the first one here. Like you're this avid adventurer, kayaking, skiing, hiking, and now jiu-jitsu at age 40. What drew you to such an active lifestyle?
I actually was never very active, like until I was like almost 30 years old. That's when I started doing my sports. I was always a couch potato until then. And I had my kids. And after that, I wanted to get in shape. And that's what motivated me to start running. And from running, I trained for marathons and half marathons. And that led me to everything else outside. I've always loved to be outside, but like actually being active only came in my 30s or like late 20s to
So for listeners like myself that are still getting to know you, um, how would you describe yourself in one sentence?
boy, okay. Um, I would say I am brave and thoughtful.
I would agree with that. So jiu-jitsu. Okay, I need to learn how to say this. Okay.
Jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. All right. Let's talk jiu-jitsu. Starting at 40 is impressive. What pushed you to try something completely new, and what's it taught you about yourself?
Well, I started that because I signed my son up for classes when he was in grade 6. And I would sit on the sideline and watch his classes, and they were super exciting, and I liked it. So I wanted to help him. So when he came home, like with me, we would practice, and but then he stopped going, and I started going because I loved it so much. So it was really from watching him. And then what it taught me is that, for one thing, you can learn something new. Like jujitsu is very much a mental sport because you have to learn all the techniques, and that's like my body can do it. It's my mind that has to remember all the steps. So um that's a challenge. And just the fact that I love it so much and that I can continue and just grow and learn. And I've only been doing it now for like 7 or 8 months. So I'm definitely a beginner.
Outdoor sports like skiing, kayaking, hiking, how do they shape your confidence as a woman, as a person, as a human being?
Great question. Um, I have gotten, since I started sports in general, actually, I've had this conversation with friends of mine. Since I started sports and training for marathons, I learned that I'm capable of reaching a goal. Like running my first 10K, running my first half marathon, my first marathon, all of that, I learned that it's just one step at a time. You just follow a plan, you stick to the plan, and you can accomplish anything. And I've really put that towards everything. I've put it towards writing, even just, small little increments, you can reach your goal. That's what sports in general has taught me. And then for being out in nature, there's been plenty of times where I've gotten lost and we've had to like figure it out and get out of the woods. And like those are things that I, use that knowledge in my writing as well because, I've lived it, and you just really have to have confidence in yourself and just keep walking, keep trying.
Have you faced fears in these activities and how do you push through it?
Um um for example, my first marathon, it was in like 30 plus degree heat in Montreal. It was so hot, and my friend and I were running together, and I was dying. Like, I felt like if I was dying, it was all the asphalt, everything was so hot. And, like, and I was crying, but I'm like still going. I'd stop to walk and cry and then just keep going and try to breathe through that. And, and I just kept going and I made it. I finished. I got my medal. It took me 5 hours and 15 minutes, but I did it. So it's it's just the one step in after another is what will get you there, and that's what's given me the confidence in everything, and I use that for all of my life.
Many people want to underestimate women in extreme outdoor spaces. What would you wish people knew about women's resilience?
Well, I believe that women are taught resilience from childhood, basically. Like, we know we're gonna have to endure, we know we're going to have to deal with uncomfortable things and safety things, and we're taught that from a young age, so we grow up being prepared to just get on with it, and then in outdoor sports, women are often underestimated, but even if you watch like Survivor or like different shows like that, the endurance ones, it's the women that outlast the men because they're used to just being uncomfortable. And I think
Yeah.
that's can be applied to all sports. You might not be the fastest or the strongest, but you could be the toughest.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's get into it. Those books behind you. You're an avid reader. What kinds of books or authors have influenced your voice as a writer?
Voice. Hmm. Well, so I grew up reading Stephen King, which is not what I write at all, but his style and had like that's the main one that I've read more books by Stephen King than anyone else. Um, but I'm such a broad reader. Like I read horror, I read thriller, romance, historical fiction is like one of my favorites. I've read so many historical fictions and contemporary books as well. And I just feel that because I read so broadly, I can pull in things from all avenues and all genres, and I'm applying those to my contemporary women's fiction. So it's not one specific person, it's just from reading so much for my entire life.
So this is a personal question I'm going to ask, and if for advice, ultimately, many people like myself struggle to actually get into reading, even with amazing books on their shelves. What advice would you give to someone, me, wanting to reconnect with reading without getting distracted?
Put your phone down. 100% put your phone down. My phone is always on silent, always. And the only I have my Garmin running watch, and that's where I get notifications of like text messages or phone calls, but app notifications, I don't ever hear them because I don't want to be trained like Pavlov's dog to automatically look at my phone every time it dings. So it's been on silent for years now. That's the number one thing. You just have to put the phone away. Like, because like I love TikTok, I love, scrolling Facebook and Instagram, but you really have to put it away and just pick up a book. And, like I said, everything is in small quantities. So give yourself a goal. I'm going to read for 10 minutes before bed every single day. That's the last thing I'm going to do is read for 10 minutes before I go to sleep. And then once you get into that habit, it's if you want to read the book because you start falling into the story. The hardest thing is if you pick up a book, you read it for a little bit, and then you put it away for a week. You don't care. You don't care about the book. So, but if you're reading it every day, even a little bit, you start to care about the characters and the story, and you want to get back into it.
And do you think reading just before bed for a rookie like myself would be good? Like, won't I be half tired? Won't I be falling asleep? Is that okay to fall asleep while I'm reading? Like,
100%. Yes, that I love it. That's my favorite way to fall asleep is with a book that like lands on my face. So for sure, like I'm not a person that stays up all night long reading. I read until I get tired and then I close my book, I turn off the light and then I go to bed. And all the studies show that that's also really good to get away from the screens before sleeping. So even if you fall asleep, then you're still kind of processing the story in your sleep. So yeah. Or any time that works best for you, do that. But schedule it for yourself and, just a 10-minute block. And I just like reading in bed at night, but whatever is best for you.
now I've heard that from a few people. What do you think the science or logic is behind reading for 10 or maybe even 20 minutes versus maybe reading a chapter or two? Or is it really the same? Like, well, I don't, maybe depending on how fast you read, maybe you're reading a couple chapters in 10 minutes, or maybe you're not even reading a full. So what's better? Ultimately, you're saying minutes versus chapters? Is that less pressure? Like, what do you think the thought process of that is?
I would say, mi- I would say go by the minutes because then you're getting the same amount every day. So, and then if you want to read more, you read more. Whereas at the end of the chapter, you're going to stop. But if your 10 minutes is done in the middle of the chapter, you might want to continue reading.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this for sure is not for me. I'm still a rookie. But what do you say to people that are wanting to read multiple books, or the people that I know that are reading multiple books? I think that that's impressive because I'm struggling reading one. But I mean, are you a person that reads multiple books? Like maybe if it's just not the same type, like maybe you read an autobiography and maybe, you know, historical book. Like, I'm just curious your thoughts on multiple books at one time.
Well, I read one physical book and one audiobook every day. So I always have two books on the go, but one's physical and one's audio. I don't read two paperbacks open at the same time, but I can keep both stories in my mind if they're different formats.
I just want to make sure I just heard you correctly. Did you just say you read two books a day
No,
every day?
no, I read them, but I don't finish them. Like I read
So
the
you saying you go through like a book every day.
no,
I
no,
was like,
no, no. I read every day in a physical book and I read every day in audio.
huh. So why is writing about women in the wilderness so important to you?
It's kind of like what we touched on before. Women, are often underestimated and they're underrepresented even in real outdoor activities. Like I have hiked many, many mountains in New Hampshire because where I live, it's like 2 hour drive to the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And the great majority of the people on the trails are men. There are groups of women, but the majority of the time it's men. And in every, like even my jujitsu classes, it's like me and one other woman and 10 men that were doing the class. So I really just want to encourage other women to get out there, get out of their comfort zone, challenge themselves, even if it's dominated by men, you can still have a great time. You can meet people and you can showcase what you can do and challenge yourself. And you don't have to be worried. I just want more women in sports and more women outside because you learn so much about yourself by doing that.
How much of your personal outdoor experience finds its way into your stories?
A good bit. A good bit. Yeah, there's different scenarios where I've gone for hikes with my girlfriends and we've gotten lost or, my friend didn't have a flashlight, but she had mascara in her bag. Like that ended up in my first book because it was too funny. But and then a lot of it are things that I've thought of while, hiking or kayaking and thought, what would happen if, and those are the things that I can put in my book. Like what would happen if a freak storm came down on us right now? What would happen if we got attacked by a wild animal? So, like, those things hadn't happened to me, or well, some of them did. But it's just the thinking about it is the exciting part about writing.
What about women and nature or survival do you want most to challenge?
Um, well, that women are weaker. That's that women are weak and that they can't do hard things. Like that is 100% not true. We've seen it time and time again. Women, even when they're pregnant, women, when they're injured, can do so many things. So I just want to, make women realize who are women who like restrain themselves into think, oh, I could never do that. I could never do that. I'm not outdoorsy enough. I'm not fit enough. I'm too old. I don't believe in any of these limiting beliefs. I don't want anyone to put limits on themselves because you can overcome them. It takes time and it takes effort and it'll be hard, but you can overcome it. So I just, you know, really just want to show that women are capable of anything, even if it's hard.
Balancing a big family with writing and adventure must be tricky. How do you protect your creative time?
I get up before everybody else. That's my number one thing. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because everybody else in my house, including my dogs, are asleep. So that's my quiet time. And well, except I share it with TikTok, but that's my time for myself. And I, I really need that time. And also at night when I go to bed, other people can be watching TV, playing video games, whatever, but I'm in my bed and reading because that's my recuperation time.
Do your children see you as an adventurer, or mom just being mom?
No, they see me as an adventurer for sure because I'm always trying to encourage them to do more active outdoor things. Like the girls in my family are very athletic, but my boys are not so much. So, but they definitely, they see all my pictures and they see my medals of from my races. And when they were little, they've done races with me. So, no, they definitely know that I'm up for anything.
How has motherhood shaped your stories of women, resilience, and adventure?
Well, I guess it's part of the same thing. Like what I want to show women in general, I also want to show my kids, that you're capable of anything and that just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't overcome it and that you can't do the thing. So, like, also in my books, I have characters that are mothers, and they're getting out there and they're pushing themselves and realizing that they are a priority. And, because as mothers, we often, put everybody else first, make sure everybody else is good. And, you know, that's great, but we also have to carve out time for ourselves. And I use that in my books as well to show, that women can be parents and still do everything they want to do too. It's just planning.
I did this by design, going all over the place a little bit, but this is your first interview. Tell us how you even got into writing in the first place. We haven't really dove into that. Like, what got you to writing that first book? When you were a child, did you always journal? Did you write in a diary? Like, were you always someone that liked to write? Like, what brought you to, we'll get into how many books you have and what's being sold and the contest. We're going to get there. But like, ultimately, where did this passion of writing to the point of you being an author and writing that first book, let alone the amount that you have now?
Uh, from reading, 100% it came from reading. Like, I read my first chapter book when I was 8 years old, and it just opened up my world. So I have always been a huge reader. And I think the majority, the vast majority of people who love to read dream about being a writer because they want to be able to do that too. So I always had the dream, but when I was first at home with my kids when they were little, I wrote a bit. Like wrote um I wrote a chapter book for kids and I wrote a middle grade book. And then I tried to pitch it to agents and stuff, and that was, like, my first time I completed a whole book. Like, they were short, but I tried pitching to agents and everything, and nothing ever came of it, so I stopped writing for years. And then it was my husband that mentioned to me, like, "Well, why don't you try self-publishing?" But I had all these, preconceived biases against that, like, that's not the real way to do things. So I didn't want to do it. But then I actually started researching it and learning about the whole indie author movement. So it's not just self publishing, you're independently publishing. You're taking control of all the aspects and you're going directly to the reader. So there's no gatekeepers. And the more writing podcasts I listened to that's talking about that, the more I learned about indie publishing made me wanna do it, and it was because I knew I finally had a real goal toward work towards, because obviously, as I've said before, I'm very goal oriented. I just wanna work towards something. So once I realized that I could actually get my book out there for people, and I didn't have to just, write it and then leave it sitting on my computer, that's what motivated me. So then I sat down and I just wrote as much as possible, as often as possible, until the whole book was done, and that was the book I published. So
And how many books have you published to date?
I have them. I have 3. I have this one, Turbulent River, Independent River, and Raging River. That's my, series that I'm working on, And then I also have the first one translated into French. So I have three published, and the fourth one will be coming out in March, if all goes well.
Now, don't answer if it's a secret, but do you know the number of books in your mind of where it's going, or is it just a never ending, or you don't know the answer right now yourself?
I don't know how long it will be. I know that I can, like, book 4 is a bit different, and I've branched out a bit because with this type of series, I can really just keep adding. I could add characters and I could add trips and like wilderness adventures. So I'm just going to keep going until it reaches like a natural conclusion.
Now, this might be a stupid question. I apologize. I was told there's no such thing as stupid questions, but we'll see. I mean, ultimately, are these all standalone books, or do you need to read them in order? So, meaning that if someone, one of my questions is, if someone wants to start with just one of your books, which one would you recommend and why? I'm assuming number one, or does it matter?
Um, They are it is a series because it follows the same main character, but you could pick them up individually if you wanted to, but to get the full grasp of it, because it's the main character who, goes from going on her own girls' trip in the wilderness to her setting up a women's wilderness guiding business. So it's an evolution of the woman herself and then her friends and everything and different trips that she does. So the first book, Turbulent River, would be the best one to start with if you want to get the full story.
Okay. So you have a giveaway contest going on. Can you tell listeners what's included and how to enter?
So I set this giveaway up on TikTok. So it's um, for my TikTok followers. So anyone who follows me and comments on that post will be entered to win a paperback version for one winner and an ebook version for another winner of Turbulent River.
And where can people buy your books, whether it be print or digital?
Print books, I have um, paperbacks and large print paperbacks as well. I did the large print because the very first book is dedicated to my grandmother. So I wanted to make sure she could read it. So I have all my books available in large print. And those are available on Amazon, and the ebooks are available everywhere, like Kobo, Kindle, and Apple and Google Play, and everywhere else the ebooks are available.
Do you do autograph signings? And if so, tell us about that experience for you and maybe your readers.
Well, I do in-person events. Often that's actually where I sell my most books because marketing online is not a skill of mine. But in person, when people come to my table and I can explain the books to them and then I autograph them and they buy them there. So I've done that quite a few times, and I do have autographed copies available to ship within Canada of all three books.
How do you want readers to feel after reading one of your stories?
Energized and excited to go try things. Like that's my main goal is for people to read the book and then be like, "Ooh, I want to go on a wilderness adventure."
Hmm. What advice would you give to women who feel drawn to the wilderness but aren't sure they belong there?
Um, Find a buddy if possible, a group. Like they have that's actually a part that's tackled often in my books because she sets up a guiding business only for women to get people who are not comfortable, a chance to go. So if you can find a guide to take you out, you can do that, but that's, money. But or you can just find groups. There's a lot of groups online that do women's like excursions together. It's free. They just say, okay, this weekend we're going to climb this mountain. Who's in? So they have that on even on Facebook. You just find your location and you'll find women's groups who are doing outdoor things and just join them.
If someone wants to start writing later in life, what would you say to encourage them?
Just start. Just start my, you know, brainstorm ideas and then just make a little plan if you can. I just use like 3 act structure for my novels, just the basic plot points, and then I just start writing, beginning to end. And then you can go back to the beginning and start editing. But until you know what the story is, just keep writing.
What's one mindset shift or small habit that's helped you take action outdoors, in writing, or personally?
A mind shift, mind.
What would you say is maybe something that stands out about you versus maybe, or maybe you don't want to compare yourself to others, but I mean, I could just answer a little bit for you. Just when I watch you on TikTok every morning, you're just so that's your routine. Every morning you get up early and you have your set way of you have your coffee, you're editing, you talk in a calm voice. Like you're very like you have a routine, even though it's casual, but it seems military. Like it's very, so all I have to say, what would you say, is your sort of what's maybe that common thread between being a parent, being a writer, being in the wilderness, being in sports? What would you say is that sort of thing about you?
It's actually a great point. When you, I was like, that's exactly what it is. It's structure. For me, it's working towards a goal, but breaking it down in small pieces and having a routine. I like routine. It makes me feel comfortable because I know what I can accomplish each day. And and I feel that can be applied to everything. Like I said, for training for a marathon to like hiking 14 hours in the mountains, just break it down and complete it step by step. And I use the same thing for writing as well.
For listeners that want to dive into your books, get signed copies, or enter your contest, where can they go? How can they connect with you?
Well, I have my website is kristenbobbitt.com. That's my name. Um, but the best place to find me is on TikTok. That's the social media that I'm like focusing on, that I'm there every day. And I've created a fun group of writers on there and readers. So TikTok, it's Kristen Bobbitt author, and that's the best place to find me, and that's where the contest is as well. But any new releases or anything, if you're not on TikTok, it will all be put on my website. And I do have a Facebook page, but I don't update it that much.
And do you have an Amazon page where all your books are there, or would you rather people go to your website or both? Or
Um, yeah, if you want to shop on Amazon, then yeah, just my name, Kristen Bobbitt, is on. I have an author page on there, and it has all my books, including the French version.
perfect. All right. I always like to ask this question as I wrap up. You're in an elevator and you have about 60 seconds. Actually, I like to add to this. You're in an elevator, you're meeting someone for the first time. It's up to you to decide how big the building is. It could be a 6 foot building, could be the CN Tower. You decide how long the elevator ride is, but tell tell that person about you and who you are.
So the person's in the elevator with me, and I'm
Yeah.
telling them about me. Okay.
It's your elevator pitch of who you
Oh,
are as a
great.
person, as a parent, as an author, and you have the whole ride of going. But the fun part of it is you can decide how big the building is the elevator's on. In.
Okay. See, because I'm a person that likes to ask questions. So, yeah. Okay. So,
I
to,
got in the elevator with you and I'm like, hey, tell me about yourself. This might be a long elevator ride.
okay. Well, then I would definitely, start with my family. My husband and my 4 kids. And then that leads me into like writing and all my adventures. I don't know.
Oh, you're good.
I
I
just
would be
like
like,
I
I
would
would
just
just
like
be
to
asking
ask
about all your
questions.
books. I would
Pardon?
just be like, I hear you're an author. Like, how do I get your book? And like, how many books do you have? How many books do you see that you're coming out with? Like, to me, I'm just like I'm so impressed with anyone that can write. I'm jealous of anyone that's creative that can like create art that outlives us all. I'm always appreciative of creative people that are in music, that are in art, that are writing books. Like, I just think it's really amazing what you do. And that's why I appreciate that you're doing this with me. I really, really, really love your TikTok lives. So if you're
Oh,
watching this and you haven't followed Kristen on TikTok, you need to follow Kristen on TikTok. I pop on for 5 or 10 minutes and it's calming. If anything, I think watching you be motivated and being in your creative space, it motivates me. I'm like, well, I gotta step up. I need to get my coffee. I need to do something. I need to like, so it's like I like surrounding myself with like good, motivated entrepreneur people like yourself. So even though I haven't met you in person, just being a fly in the wall, seeing your process, a bit of your process is really amazing.
I love that. Like that's my whole goal of that was to do my lives, and like I'm writing and I want other people to be doing the thing that's going to help them reach their goals. So I'm so happy to know it actually like has that effect, because that's what I love to do is just like help people, you know, get there. And you got to start.
Well, I'm going to give you the final word. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with? Maybe something that I didn't ask you, or maybe something you want to just, put the final push in that I'm giving you the last word and I will.
Okay, I would just say to everyone, just try. Like I started everything later in life. Like I started my sports in my 30s. I started writing in my 30s. And I published my books then and while juggling everything. And it's possible. Everything is possible. Just try, push yourself outside your comfort zone, because I stayed in my comfort zone for years and years. And once I started expanding that and traveling and doing everything that I'd never done before, it just opened up my whole world and gave me so much energy. And I think that's what everyone needs to do. Just try something new, try something different, and break it up into little parts and you can accomplish anything.
Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. You've done your first interview. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so exciting and I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.